What am I buying into? You're encouraged by what you see, the geophysics, etc. But at some point, I need to know what you're going to be doing. What's your plan? What's your thinking?
Yeah, I think at this stage it's probably too early to speculate on the size of a maiden resource.
No, but you must have an idea in your head as to what you want to put out. Is 1 million ounces enough? Does it need to be 2 million? I mean, you've got companies with different strategies all around the world. Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. First of all, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, give us a thumbs up. That helps us understand if this is the sort of video you'd like us to be producing for you. You can also leave your comments below. That helps us with these sorts of questions you think we should be asking, how you think we've done, and of course, what you thought of Tesoro Resources. You can catch this as a podcast, article, or transcription on cruxinvestor.com. And of course, for our Crux Investor Club members, you get early access to this video. You also get training courses and commentary from market experts on macro subjects. If you haven't already done so, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, for more videos like this one, click the notification bell. We speak today to Zeff Reeves. He is the CEO of Tesoro Resources, an ASX gold explorer with assets in Chile. We talk about the way that they went about listing earlier this year in February, and obviously the shares have had a very good time of it recently. But prior to that, there was a 3-year period where they had raised their capital from friends and family, put their own money in, and a couple of high net worths to develop this thing through to the point where they could list it successfully. So we talk about that, their business plan going forward, the capital that they've just raised, and what are they going to be able to do with that. So do take a look in the description at the variety of things that we discuss about doing business in Chile. Anything interesting in particular, click on the number beside that topic. That's a timestamp, and that'll jump you through to that part of the video. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy what Zeff has to say. Zeff, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm great, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yep, hold up here in the UK. You're in Perth. How are things over there?
Yeah, slightly luckier than you, I'd say. It's sort of business as usual for us. So we're able to get out and about and have a fairly normal life, which is good.
Yeah, very nice. Not a bad spot in the world either. Hey, so look, first time we've met, first time we've spoken, new story to us. So why don't you give us that 1 minute overview of the business, and I'll pick it up from there.
Yeah, sure. Tesoro is a gold-focused company with a significant gold asset in Chile. We established it in 2017, and it's been listed on the ASX since February 2020 this year. And since establishing the company, we've acquired the Zorro Gold Project, which is the focus for the company, and we're into our third round of drilling there, and things are going pretty well.
Well, it seemed to be, if I look at the share price, for sure. So been going since February. Obviously a new story. Why go public?
A couple of reasons. One is to give us access to additional capital, obviously, and it's a lot easier to raise capital for a resources project in the public markets. And also we had a good, strong base of fairly long-term shareholders from our inception, and obviously looking forward to a liquidity point and somewhere to potentially exit at some point in the future, which getting it into the ASX, into a public market, certainly gives them that opportunity. Not that they've gone anywhere so far. So everyone's happy with the way we're progressing and see plenty of upside continuing to come.
We'll get into the business plan in a second here, but tell me a little bit about what you've been doing since 2017 through to this go public in February this year. So what happens during that period?
So originally the company was founded by myself, Jeff McNamara, who's one of the non-executive directors, and our man in Chile, Sergio Reeves. He's a old business colleague of mine. Sergio and I have done numerous things in Chile over the course of about 10 years, both in the public and private space. And then Jeff and I have known each other from back in the dim darks, running underground gold operations here in Western Australia. We were part of the production team at a deep gold mine called Bounty, which is now the Mount Holland Lithium project. So it's a group of guys that have all known each other for quite some time. I've spent a considerable amount of time in Chile, obviously, with Serge. We saw some nice assets coming across the desk, and El Zorro was one of them. So we managed to put our minds together, raised a little bit of money back in 2017 and founded the company and acquired Zorro. And then off the back of that, we raised around 3.5 million Australian dollars privately. And we drilled 17 diamond drill holes into our Zorro with that money, as well as acquiring the project. We expanded the tenement holdings, set up all the corporate infrastructure and got the ball rolling to essentially get the company listed on the ASX. And I guess, we're very encouraged by those initial 17 holes and saw a significant gold system emerging out of our Zorro, which really gave it the impetus to have quite a successful listing early this year, and the success that we've had going through the year so far has been quite good.
I mean, you chose a heck of a time to list. A month later, COVID. Yeah, excellent.
Well, we were very lucky. So it was tough to raise the money initially, and we did the transaction via a reverse takeover of an old jewellery shell, believe it or not. So from one gold product, a finished product, to a raw material gold product, if you like. Just the nuances of doing the reverse takeover and working through that process took a little longer than expected, and it was pretty tough trying to raise capital coming up to Christmas and all of those kinds of things. And then we managed to just get it done just prior to COVID hitting, which was very lucky that we did, because things kind of locked up a bit for a few months there. But, we happened to have just, a little bit of good management, but a lot of good luck in terms of that timing, and stepped straight into, a great bull gold market with lots of interest, particularly in sort of that gold exploration space, particularly now on the ASX.
Well, I'm sort of intrigued. I'm sorry, I don't mean to labour this one, but just intrigued because you're sitting at, where are we, sort of 85 million Aussie, straight out of this, having launched in February, having gone public in February, obviously really strong gold bull market in Australia, and globally, but with the Australian dollar being like it is. Is it perfect timing, or was it your track record, or because you haven't even got a maiden resource yet? So, what are people buying into? What are they saying?
Look, I think it's a combination of all of those factors, and the benefit of being private for that 3 years was the preparation of the company, and being able to do that initial drilling. We've de-risked it geologically straight off the bat, so we're not stepping into a greenfields exploration play. It's brownfields. It's almost resource definition straight off the bat. We're able to be on the ground on day one of listing drilling. We achieved some phenomenal results. We knew where to drill. We knew where the extensions would go, and we've since found more of those extensions as part of that drill program. So, we were fully permitted, and we had all those boxes already ticked. We'd done all that work as a private company. So that on day one of the ASX listing, hit the ground running. It's been a steady flow of results. And look, we've now announced 27 holes into the market since inception. So those first 17 that we drilled privately, we've drilled another 10 since, and we're in the current drilling program now, and we'll start to see those results come through soon. But all of those 27 holes have all hit gold mineralisation. So myself as a geologist, I've never been involved in a project where you always miss at some point in time. So far we haven't missed. Arguably every hole's got a mineable width of gold mineralisation in it, and some of them got some world-class exceptional drill intercepts. So I think that's a function of all that groundwork that was done as a private company, and gave us the momentum to have achieved really good success as soon as we hit the market. And the other thing is now we've been able to demonstrate the potential scale of this deposit. I mean, it's located in a fantastic location. We have access to infrastructure. There's a port 50 kilometres away where our guys stay. So it's starting to tick all these boxes. We don't have issues with altitude. We won't have issues with water because we can take water from the ocean. All these things. So a lot of that type of risk is already taken out of this project, and I think the market's starting to realise that, and give us a valuation And I think still, when you look at some of the peers in the ASX with Australian assets, we're still pretty lowly valued compared to some of the other companies that are out there without a resource.
Well, that's what's intriguing me about the way that you've gone about it, because I worked in private equity in another life, and then moved into the public markets, and the way you've gone about it is attractive in the sense that where did you get the money from during the private phase from 17 through to 20? Friends and family?
So the founders, a little bit from friends and family and high net worth guys through our private network, and the initial funding came through the founders of the company. And Jeff McNamara has been a great supporter of the concept and the project and the team, and Sergio and myself. So, and Jeff's also got a background in the finance industry and private equity. So, there's some strong networks there that we're able to draw upon to fund the company privately for that initial funding. But, that's not to say that it didn't have its hiccups along the way, as these things always do. And it probably took us a little longer than expected to get the company listed. But again, we stepped into some fortuitous timing. And we've also been able to attract the investment of a couple of decent-sized Chilean family offices. So we have some local Chilean investment on our register as well, and they've followed their money in on the listing and on the recent capital raising as well. So we've got a really good, strong register of long-term support, and a majority of our initial seed investors are still on the register.
It's I'm very interested in the way you've gone about it, because most companies who are sitting at market caps much lower than yours, who've gone public immediately and are going through the kind of anguish of raising capital to do some of the things you've already done within the private phase. And it's a different process. It's a different risk profile to the capital. It's a different type of money. So the money you've raised prior to going public sounds like smart money, people who know what they're doing, and you have got to back yourself or risk losing face, I guess, with people like high net worth and family offices. So
yeah, and look, there's been we've put our own personal money into this company as well, and that's sort of got us up that learning curve of what the project was and how we think it's going to plan out. And I think we've gone through it very methodically. We've been able to map out and spell out to our investor base what we're going to do. We've executed well. We're very lucky that we've got a superb team in country that's able to carry out the work. And, I don't think we oversell anything. We just let the project speak for itself. And, there's an old adage in the exploration game: if the exploration geos can't kill it, then it's probably a good project. And essentially that's what we task our guys to do on the ground: kill the project. And if it doesn't die, then it'll keep going along and through the development phase into production. And ultimately that's what our big game is to take this through to production. Hence the location, the size and scale of and grade of deposit that we're sort of targeting here. It's not inconceivable that a company our size can take one of these projects through to production.
Okay, and the next question is really for non-Aussie investors, but why didn't you take the opportunity when you took the shell over to do a rollback? You're sitting at, whatever it is, a large number of shares out, 476 million shares out, which is an Aussie thing, but doesn't tend to happen in Canada or Europe.
Yeah, well, we actually did. We crunched the shell fairly heavily when we did the transaction, so they had a lot more shares on issue. And I think, it's just the nature of the capital structures that evolve on the ASX at the junior end of the market. It tends to make for a little more of an exciting ride in terms of liquidity and so on the market, because it also attracts a lot of retail investment. The stock's had good volume through it for quite a while now, and a lot of that's driven by the retail side of things. But I think as things evolve, we'll start to see some of the more institutional and long-term money come and stick with us, and we'll see that trickle away. But that's just a function of, I guess, the junior market in the ASX as well.
Okay, well, let's talk about the share registry. Can you kind of break that down for me in terms of, you mentioned a couple of Chilean family offices there, the management team, how much have you guys put in, how much have you personally put in, and, how much is that retail component?
Yeah, so our share register as it stands, so our actual biggest shareholder is one of the Chilean family offices. They've got around 6%. And then between the management team, we own a significant amount of the company. We're sitting at around 15% combined at the moment. So, and it was always set up in that regard where we're all incentivised and aligned with all of our shareholders to create some value there, and not pull cash out of this. We're not there for that. We're there to build a mine. So that's really what we're focused on. And then we have a number of high net worths and a couple of small sort of opportunities funds or branches of some of the larger institutional groups with their smaller opportunities funds on the register as well. And then obviously a larger retail tail off the back of that.
How much retail?
Sorry, retail is probably about 50% of the register, I guess.
Okay, interesting. And how much money have you raised to date? Both pre and post going public.
So pre-IPO we raised 3.5, and then on the listing we raised 5.5, all Aussie dollars, and we've just raised another 6.5.
So much cash.
We're currently sitting on around, we're currently sitting at about 6 cash in the bank today.
Okay, so you spent $10 million of that, and how's that been broken down? How much in the ground? How much on G&A?
A majority of it's into the ground. We've done a lot of work at our Zorro, for example. We've collected around 3,000 surface samples. There's a lot of outcrop there, so it's all good hard rock surface sampling. We've drilled, as of today, we've drilled 40 odd holes in total. We've done a couple of rounds of geophysical surveying, and we've also expanded our concession holdings from an initial 1,500 hectares, and now we're out to a total ground holding of around just under 300 square kilometres, covering about 50 kilometres of what we think is the prospective strike in this district. And then in terms of G&A, look, those costs are fairly minimal. In terms of the percentage of our spend, it's around between 10 and 15% of the total spend. We don't have a head office here in Australia. I work from home, and a very small office in Santiago, and we've got our field office in Caldera, and that's where all the action is. So that's where all the money's getting spent.
So, and do you think, so that's that 10 million, what are you going to be doing with the 6 million or 6.5?
So we're in the middle of a drilling campaign now, and we can see that expanding fairly rapidly. So we planned an initial 5,000 metres of drilling to do. I think that's going to expand considerably. We're seeing some big extensions from the work that we're doing now. The recent geophysical survey that we did highlighted a number of extensions where we had a really good anomaly directly correlating to some of our best drilling results, and we've seen where that goes, and we've drilled some of that already. And if they come in, then we've got quite a big tiger by the tail, and I think we'll be drilling for some time to get a resource out of this. But look, we're well and truly funded through to a lot of drilling between now and the middle of next year, really, to be able to drill another 10,000-20,000 odd metres. We've got some really good, our drilling contractors got a very competitive cost for us. So it's really just coming down now to a matter of how many drill rigs we're going to put there to drill it out. We're reasonably sure there's going to be a deposit there, and it's just coming down to drilling now to determine how big that deposit's going to be.
How much of what you're doing do you think the market is giving you credit for, or is it just all about the gold price?
No, I think the market's waking up now to Zorro. I mean, some of these drill intercepts that we've announced, I would say they're up to world-class drill intercepts. We're seeing multiple 100-gram metre intercepts It's big. I think our biggest one that we've announced to date is around 120 odd metres wide at nearly 2 grams with high grade zones in it, which we see typically there. And they're not one-offs, they're regular drill intercepts like that. And, we're seeing the same sorts of material come out of the current drilling. And I think the market's waking up to that scale. And then we throw that geophysics overlay onto it, and you can see where those high-grade holes are. You can see where the geophysics anomaly goes to and how big that potentially could be. So they start to get an idea of that scale. And just the fact that our success rate on their drilling so high, 100% success rate in terms of returning mineralised intercepts, and the fact that it is de-risked. It's not a conceptual model anymore. This is a real thing. It's an outcropping ore body. It sticks out of the ground, drilled to 300 metres, drilled about 800 metres of strike of it now, between 150 and 200 metres wide. So we've got a lot more drilling to do to define it.
But come on, there's got to be an aspect. You must have a view on the market, because a year ago, if you were doing this, I'm not sure you'd have got the reaction that you're getting now. So obviously gold price has got to be a big part of this. So timing is everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think the whole market here in Australia is riding on the coattails of some of the other success stories. There's people would have been taking profits out of those stories and looking for somewhere else to see the next one, and we're hoping Tesoro is the next one. It's got all the ingredients are there. The gold's in the ground. We know it's there. It's looking like it's going to be an attractive deposit to kick off with. It's located perfectly. It's in a great jurisdiction. So, it ticks all those boxes. And I think once we see some of that money coming out of those other companies, and we're starting to see a little bit of that now, I suspect, then, that provides a fairly good impetus for our share price as well. And we can point to a number of companies in the market at the moment that have got market caps significantly higher than ours, and they're producing drill intercepts that I would argue are nowhere near as good as what we're doing. So when you look at a like for like, we're probably getting a slight discount simply because of the jurisdiction. People see Chile as being on the far side of a great big ocean, and they can't make that direct connection, so they give it a bit of a discount. But I think they're starting to see that we do what we say we're going to do, and we're able to produce some pretty impressive results. I think we'll continue to do so.
It's an interesting point you make. Each market gives a discount to something which is far away. So the Canadians would discount projects in Australia listed on the TSXV.
Yeah. And they'll pay a premium for Chilean projects in Canada.
Exactly.
In their backyard, So, and look, I would argue that Chile is a easier place to operate for a mining company and an exploration company than Australia. Maybe Western Australia, which is ranked higher in the Fraser Institute rankings. But look, once you're permitted in Chile, which we are, and that's been one of the other, major success factors for us, we're going to be on the ground tomorrow drilling. We're on the ground tomorrow drilling. We're not sitting here waiting for a permit, waiting for Joe Bloggs to open his gate for his farm and all these other things that typically arise in the early stages of exploration. We're on Crown land. We're in the middle of the Atacama Desert. We've got no obstruction to any of the work we're doing. So, and we've got access to drilling rigs, drilling contractors, assay labs, workforce almost instantly. And so that's allowed us to be, very reactive in terms of being able to get on the ground straight away, and we can do it. And as we've gone along, we've built up our team into larger numbers. We've got 2 drill rigs there now, and we've got about 5 geologists on site. So they're all working away, and we're just talking to our drilling contractor now about getting some more rigs on site. So it's all very easy to do.
And it's a good mining jurisdiction for sure. But COVID, you literally 1 month after you launched, COVID kind of hits, and some of the restrictions start hitting some of the South American countries, even places like Chile. Has that held you back? Because you've been talking about putting out a maiden resource this year. So what's going to happen? Yeah,
look, and I think, our aspiration is to get a maiden resource out, but I think that's going to come down to a function of how big the deposit is. And I think at this stage, we keep, adding hundreds of metres of strike onto it. So we may need a little bit more time to do that maiden resource. And it could be into, a number of thousands of metres of drilling that we've got ahead of us. And so that's a good problem to have. And we're happy to do that. But in terms of COVID, look, it has had some logistical impacts for us, but it's had no direct impact to us. Our guys on site have had to put in some extra procedures, get some extra permits to come in and out of town, things like that. Of course, some minor delays logistically getting samples assayed when they get moved around between where the lab prepares them and where they actually do the assay. So there's been a few minor delays in that regard, but again, I can't emphasise enough how lucky we are to have a really good professional team in country and a group of guys that I've worked with before that we trust, and they just get on with it and they find solutions and they work through all those problems. So, in terms of, holding up the project, so far so good, and we've got a lot of sort of procedures and methods in place to sort of negate any potential delays around COVID. So we've been lucky in that regard. And I suppose the other thing to note is that 85% of the COVID cases in Chile have been contained to within Santiago. And obviously we're 800 kilometres north up in the Atacama Desert, pretty sparsely populated. So the impact's been less noticeable.
Okay, so let's come back to the plan and the strategy for delivering it. Because I want to know, as an investor, I want to know, what am I buying into? So a whole bunch of drilling. You've talked about 40 holes being drilled. You're encouraged by what you see, the geophysics, etc. But at some point, I need to know what you're going to be doing. What size of maiden resource do you want to put out? Because it's the maiden resource. It's important. It's a real marker in the sand for people to go, I've got a sense of what the scale of the operation is. I understand the grade. So what's your plan? What's your thinking?
Yeah, I think at this stage it's probably too early to speculate on the size of a maiden resource.
No, but you must have an idea in your head as to what you want to put out. Is 1 million ounces enough? Does it need to be 2 million? I mean, you've got companies with different strategies all around the world.
Yeah, that's right. And I think in this part of the world, because of the location, if you had a 500,000 ounce resource that you could wrap something around, you'd seriously look at taking that into production. But I think, we're seeing a substantially larger system here. We've got a step change to go up to 1 million ounces. And, I think we're probably going to be drilling for a long time to try and sort of reach those sorts of numbers. But look, it's early days so far in terms of, understanding how big that can be. We've been fairly ambitious in targeting some of the holes on the geophysical anomaly. Material coming out of those holes looks like it should be the right material. The assay labs, the truth machine would give us those results, and if they come in, then that will give us a bit more confidence of potential scale change, if you like. So. Regardless of that, we've still got a lot of drilling ahead of us to define that maiden resource. But I think I could probably safely say we're going to be drilling beyond the end of this year, just based on what we're seeing today. It's just every time we do work on this, it grows. So, we're heading into a significant size deposit, and whether it's 500,000 ounces, 1 million ounces, 2 million ounces, I think it's too early to say.
If I may, so Zeff, I'm not asking you to say what do you think the total size of this operation is. I'm trying to understand from you, the management team, the board, you sit down, you have discussions, go, I tell you what, as soon as we hit a 500,000 ounce resource, let's pull the trigger, that's our main resource. Or you're going to say, no, we're going to keep this thing going until we hit 2 million. We want to go to market with something big and meaningful, or we want to get into early development and therefore production on this thing. So what's the strategy? I need to know what I'm buying into.
Yeah, so I think that, the bottom line on that is, our aspiration is to have a resource which is able to support at least a 10-year mine life at 100,000 ounces a year. So, that's where we'd like to see it heading and upwards of there.
Okay.
I think that's the bottom line.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Track record. Who has created value for shareholders in the past? mean, why don't we start with you? What have you done?
So previously, I've done something a little bit similar to this in Brazil. Identified a new, I guess, mineralisation style and geological district for gold, and with another Australian junior quite some years ago now, delineated that system to find a gold deposit, and that whole project was actually sold to one of the mid-tiers who have since mined it. And I guess our Zorro is in parallel to that. This is a highly unusual mineralising system for Chile. The style hasn't been described before. So it's an intrusive related gold system, our Zorro. Definitely hasn't been described before in Chile. May have been mined by private companies. So it's a little bit unusual, and I think we've been able to pull those ingredients together for what we think that is to expand that ground position. So I had done something previous to that in Brazil, have discovered and delineated another ore body in Brazil and built a gold mine there, and been involved in the copper space in Chile, both at the private and in the public sector in Chile, with a couple of other projects as well. So, I've got a long history of doing this type of thing, I guess. Initially I started off in underground production in Western Australia in underground gold and nickel mines, and then found myself doing advanced exploration work in feasibility studies and so on. And through development and construction of mines. I've even worked for the administrators of some of the accountancy firms here in WA, helping them to wind down mines that had gone into administration. So I've covered all aspects and got a good, commercial background for developing a new deposit. And, well supported by particularly Sergio in country there. So Sergio has done similar things to that in Chile. He's been involved in the building of a gold project previously as well in the private space, and other tailings treatment projects and so on in Chile. So he's also got a very good track record for just getting things done and knowing how to get things done in Chile. And then Zeff McNamara, he had a long history in production as well, before moving across into the corporate finance world, where he assessed and financed a number of fairly large mines and mining companies through his career. And I guess that's a good tick of approval. The fact that he likes El Zorro, he likes and I guess Sergio and I were he was the first guy we had to sell this to, right? Because he helped bring a lot of the capital in at the very beginning. And, so far he's been a fantastic supporter, and to get past his gate, after his experience in the financial markets, financing mining operations, it was the first check, and once that tick came, we sort of had the confidence to know that we're onto something pretty good.
Are you worried at all that there's so much euphoria around gold companies at the moment? There's a lot of companies who are getting funded who don't have what you've got, but they're creating noise and distraction from people like yourselves. Are you worried that do you think you're going to be able to raise capital for the next stage? What is it do you think you're going to need to do with your $6 million to be able to get the market interested in you amongst the hundreds of companies out there clamoring for capital?
Yeah, I think the main focus for that sort of short to medium term is to get the market cap of the company up to a significant level where it starts to attract that next level of institutional investment, to go to that next stage of development. And that sort of, all of a sudden that whittles down the field, right, from being an exploration company to a development company with significant deposit sitting on your balance sheet, that they can see a pretty clear pathway to funding through to production. And, we're confident that El Zorro can deliver that. And look, in terms of the other noise that's out there, look, that's part of the game. Our team and our company needs to stay focused on what we can do. We can't control what others are doing. We think we've got a standout asset. We've been able to deliver on what we've told the market that we would deliver, and I think we're continuing to do that. And that's all we can do. We can't influence what the other companies are doing. And you're right, there is some neurology plays getting quite well financed, and that's up to them. We're not in that game. We're into a deposit to define and then move it through its next stage of development, which we would hope would be a fairly quick scoping study and into feasibility as quickly as we can once we've got that initial resource defined.
Okay, Zeff, look, I think I've taken up enough of your time today. So thanks for coming on the show, telling us the stories, new one to us, new to our audience as well. Stay in touch, let us know how you're getting on with that drilling, and we'll hopefully catch up soon.
Yep, great. Thanks for taking your time, Matt. Thank you.